A very rich man saved a homeless woman from jail. He made an unusual request that shocked everyone. Before we start, comment below and let me know which city you're watching from. Enjoy the story. Everyone. Leah was a young woman. She was very beautiful. But after her parents died, she became depressed. She ended up living on the streets. She spent her nights in cold alleys. She spent her days searching for food and shelter. One morning, she entered a market to buy a piece of fruit. Leah had only a few coins. She was accused of stealing them. The store manager was worried about his store's security. He called the police. Leah was desperate. She cried out. "It wasn't me. I didn't do anything. I'm innocent." But she couldn't defend herself. She was handcuffed and taken away. The police officers mocked her. They said, "Everyone says they're innocent at this point. Where you're going? It's full of innocent people." Leah cried out desperately. "Help! Someone help me!" She screamed at the onlookers as a stream of tears ran down her face. A wealthy man watched everything happen. He was paying attention to every detail. Leah's beauty caught his eye. Then he had a terrible idea. 2 days after being arrested, Leah sat in a cold cell. Gabriel Montenegro appeared. He was one of the richest men in the city. He was also the same man who had watched her arrest. This surprised her. Leah had no idea who he was. The mysterious man seemed completely out of place in that environment. 2 officers removed Leah from her cell to speak with Gabriel. Meanwhile, all the women in the small cell with Leah stared at the mysterious, charming man who had come to talk to the newcomer. "What do you want from me?" Leah asked, distrustfully, seeing the man approach her with a look of interest. She continued, "I'm here to make you an offer," Gabriel said in a tone that mixed arrogance and coldness. Faced with no other options and terrified of everything that was happening, Leah listened carefully to the proposal. Gabriel needed an escort to make his ex-fiancée jealous at her wedding. After seeing Leah being arrested, he thought she could be the perfect choice. He offered to pay her bail. A gesture loaded with hidden motives. But given the situation, Leah saw it as her only way out of that nightmare. "Okay. I'll do it. What happens after?" Leah asked. She was jealous at her wedding. After he saw Leah being arrested, he thought she could be the perfect choice. He offered to pay her bail. A gesture loaded with ulterior motives. But given the situation, Leah saw it as her only way out of that nightmare. "Okay. I'll do it. What happens after?" Leah asked, hesitantly, afraid of becoming a slave to Gabriel. Leah replied, "Afterward, you're free to live your life. I need you for just one night." Gabriel replied with overwhelming confidence. Desperate and eager to leave the cell as quickly as possible, she accepted Gabriel's proposal. But who was he? Leah had that question lingering in her mind. Fiancé jealous at her wedding. After seeing Leah being arrested, he thought she could be the perfect choice. He offered to pay Leah's bail. A gesture loaded with ulterior motives. But given the situation, Leah saw it as her only way out of that nightmare. "Okay. I'll do it. What happens after?" Leah asked, her mind racing. She couldn't afford to ask more. She just wanted to get out of there as fast as possible. In the end, she left the prison in Gabriel's company. full of questions and distrustful. Without another option for freedom in such a dire moment of her life, Leah followed the mysterious man. Albeit with apprehension. Trusting him with her freedom. Gabriel, noticing the uncertainty in her eyes, assured her that everything would be fine. He provided all the resources needed for Leah to prepare for the big day. Knowing that this transformation was not just preparation for the wedding, also a step toward her self-assertion, he took her shopping. Picking out a dress that would make her look and feel great, they had a good laugh and the other shopper looked at them curiously. After shopping, Gabriel took her to the best beauty salon in the area. The stylist was really good. Leah felt excited when she saw how great she looked. Fiancé jealous at her wedding. After seeing Leah being arrested, he thought she could be the perfect choice. He offered to pay her bail. A gesture loaded with ulterior motives. But given the situation, Leah saw it as her only way out of that nightmare. Okay. I'll do it. What happens after? Leah asked. In the mirror. Wearing a dress that highlighted her silhouette and makeup that accentuated her features, she looked like a new woman. When she saw herself ready, a mix of insecurity and empowerment clouded her heart. You look beautiful, Gabriel said sincerely. At the same time he felt a wave of admiration and protectiveness toward her. Let's get this over with, Leah replied harshly, trying to hide her vulnerability. She only wanted her freedom and wasn't willing to put up with Gabriel any longer. Even in the face of provocation, when they arrived at the event, entering the grand hall arm in arm, all eyes turned to Leah. Gabriel's gaze sparkled with pride that he couldn't hide. He looked at her with a mixture of pride and desire. Though it left him feeling confused, the chemistry between them was intensifying. Leah chose to ignore this newfound feeling. As soon as they crossed the entrance, whispers began. Who is that woman? She's stunning. He's never brought anyone like her before. The entire atmosphere was electrified by her presence. Wherever Leah walked, she encountered looks of surprise and curiosity, which made her feel slightly insecure. While some avoided her, others approached to find out who she was. Gabriel's ex-fiancée Isabel was furious and shocked to see them together. Isabel's arrogance seemed to overflow as she stormed over to Gabriel, grabbing his arm with a piercing glare. Who is this woman you brought to my party? She demanded. Her voice was filled with anger and dislike. Are you jealous? Isabel asked, her tone mocking. You're a married woman now. I don't owe you any explanations. Isabel was clearly angry. With a dismissive gesture, she stomped away. Her voice was filled with anger and disdain. Are you jealous? Isabel Gabriel replied. Her tone was sarcastic. You're a married woman now. I owe you no explanations. Isabel's indignation was clear as she felt angry. With a dismissive gesture, she stomped away, purposely bumping into Leah and spilling her drink on Leah's dress. Oops. Sorry. I'm so clumsy. Isabel said with a hint of irony that only served to heighten the tension. It's fine. These things happen, Leah responded, trying to remain calm and not let the situation upset her. Taking a deep breath, she smiled genuinely and turned to the other guests, determined to ignore the incident. With her sincerity and warmth, Leah began chatting with everyone, astonishing the guests with her authentic demeanor and refreshing perspective on life. She captivated them one by one with her radiant presence and the fascinating stories she shared about her life. You've got an incredible woman by your side, one of the guests remarked to Gabriel. admiring Leah from a distance. Yes. She's amazing, Gabriel replied, completely absorbed as he watched Leah from across the room, laughing and engaging with her. A group of women. His eyes brightened as he realized that Leah, maybe without knowing, was slowly but surely breaking through the walls he had built around his heart. "Excuse me for a second," Gabriel said to the guest before heading over to Leah. With a smile, he went up to her. The sound of the music made a magical atmosphere around them. "May I dance with you?" Gabriel asked, surprising Leah with the unexpected gesture. Her eyes opened wide with surprise. He leaned closer, whispering, "We need to keep up appearances." Leah hesitated but soon nodded, letting Gabriel guide her to the dance floor. The music was beautiful and made everyone want to dance. As they danced, they started to feel less nervous. Leah forgot about her problems for a moment. She didn't care about the other guests because she was enjoying the dance. The music was soft. Gabriel held her hand and touched her in a loving way. They were both enjoying the dance. Leah felt closer to Gabriel. She felt like she was starting to trust him. Leah started talking about her life, her plans, her dreams. The more they talked, the more she felt herself opening up, telling stories about her past and the hard times she had been through. Gabriel listened closely, never taking his eyes off of her. They became closer as they talked and laughed together. Leah realized that Gabriel was more than just a man who had saved her for one night. He seemed to really care about her. "You know," Gabriel said, as the music changed to a quieter song, "it's not easy to find someone. He seemed real in places like this. Most people here are just trying to look good." Leah nodded, liking how honest he was. "That's right. Sometimes I feel like I don't belong in this world," she said. Her words had a mix of vulnerability and strength. "But you belong here. You're a breath of fresh air," Gabriel replied, his eyes shining with admiration. His words touched Leah in a way she hadn't expected. It was as if a new part of her was beginning to emerge. This part was ready to break free from the chains of insecurity and fear. In a moment of impulse, Gabriel pulled. They were very close together, just inches apart. Leah's heart was beating very fast as she looked into his deep eyes. She felt many emotions and was surprised. Silence filled the space between them. For a short time, the world around them seemed to disappear. Then Leo, a friend of Isabel, appeared. "Gabriel, you're at an important event. Let's take some photos." He pointed toward the other guests. Gabriel, feeling slightly embarrassed by the interruption, nodded quickly. "Of course. Just a moment," he replied. But he glanced at Leah with a silent longing for more time. As Gabriel walked away to join the group, Leah felt a mix of emotions and confusion. She wondered about the connection she felt with Gabriel. Was it real? Was it just the excitement of the moment? She decided to put her questions aside and enjoy the moment. As time went on, Leah started to mingle with the other guests. They were fascinated by her presence. She danced, laughed, relaxed. Even though Isabel's presence was still felt, the man Leah was going to marry seemed angry. He looked at her closely, as if he could see inside her. But Leah didn't think about that. She felt happy and free. At the end of the night, Gabriel found her. He was about to leave. He smiled and said, "It was fun. wasn't it? Leah nodded her head yes. With a smile on her face. Leah and her friend left the party. The cool night air felt like a blanket around them. Leah felt like something new might be starting. "Thank you for bringing me," Leah said. Feeling more confident as they walked away from the party. Gabriel looked at her and smiled calmly. "You deserve more than you realize. Leah and I want to learn more about the amazing woman you are." His words echoed in Leah's mind, filling her with strength and determination. The future seemed promising. Perhaps she was finally on her way to finding true freedom. She would not just be leaving her past behind. Also exploring new possibilities with Gabriel by her side. After the wedding, Gabriel offered Leah a job in his mansion as a housekeeper. Reluctant but with no other options, Leah accepted the new life Gabriel was offering her. She started living in a world of luxury, which felt very different from her life on the streets. During the first few days, the change made her feel uncomfortable. She found herself surrounded by designer clothes, fancy dinners, a beautiful environment. But the size of Gabriel's mansion felt overwhelming, reminding her of the hard years she had spent trying to survive. Still, as time went on, an unexpected connection started to grow between them. Gabriel saw how charming and strong Leah was. Everyone around her was captivated by her. They started to feel more at ease with each other. Gabriel started to see more than just how beautiful Leah was. He saw how determined she was to overcome challenges and how strong she was when things got hard. Leah, in turn, started to see the sadness and pressure that Gabriel tried to hide. She saw that he was also afraid of things and didn't feel confident. When Gabriel stopped being so protective, she saw that he was a man who felt insecure too. They started to be kind to each other. They started spending more and more time together at the mansion. They had long talks in the garden and shared laughter during meals. Leah opened up to Gabriel, sharing her story. She talked about memories of her childhood, her parents' shop that had closed, the lessons they had taught her, the deep sense of loss she felt. Gabriel listened intently, growing increasingly impressed by her resilience. "I dream of reopening my parents' shop," Leah shared, her eyes shining as she spoke. "It was a special place, full of life. I feel like if I can make it happen, it would be a way to honor everything they did for me." Gabriel, moved by the passion in her voice, felt inspired. Her strength it made him think about things differently and made him think about what he wanted in life. "I have dreams, too," he began, showing a side of himself that he rarely let anyone see. "I want to build a family. A home filled with love and laughter. It may sound like I'm being sentimental. It's something I've always wanted, a solid foundation to call my own." Their friendship grew stronger with each passing day as they shared their lives and deepened their connection. Months went by like a fleeting moment. The bond between them grew as their conversations became even more profound. Leah felt more confident each day. Gabriel started to see Leah as more than just a housekeeper or a friend. She had become someone who occupied his thoughts far more than he had ever anticipated. "You're different from what I thought," Leah said sincerely one sunny afternoon as they sat together in the shade of a tree in the garden. "How so?" Gabriel asked, not entirely understanding her statement. "There's a kindness behind your arrogant demeanor. You've taken such good care of me. I'm grateful for everything," Leah said. Her eyes sparkled as she watched Gabriel's smile grow wider at her words. It was a sweet and tender moment. "You've surprised me," 2. Leah, Gabriel said, admiring her strength. He gently touched her face and looked deeply into her eyes, hoping she could see the love he carried in his heart. Then, on impulse, he confessed, I think I've loved you for a long time. Over the past few months, I've fallen in love with you. His words hung in the air, full of truth. Leah listened closely, her heart beating faster. She blushed, knowing the feeling was mutual and realizing she had been hiding her feelings for a long time. I love you, too, Leah admitted, her voice filling with emotion and sincerity. Their worlds came together. A passionate kiss sealed their confessions. Time seemed to stop. The worries and doubts of the outside world disappeared as they enjoyed the moment and their growing connection to each other. However, as Leah enjoyed the magic of that kiss, she felt happy. This feeling was quickly interrupted by a dark thought. Leah's happiness was about to change. Isabel, Gabriel's ex-Finch, was furious seeing Leah so close to him, especially since he had brought her to her wedding. The idea that Gabriel might be dating another woman made her want revenge. What Isabel didn't expect was how that anger would lead her to make a carefully planned scheme. She sent an envelope with a message that was interesting and could be very harmful. With a mean smile, she made sure the envelope arrived anonymously. To find out the real Gabriel, read the mysterious message with the document. When Leah got it, she felt scared. What should have been a simple curiosity became a heavy burden on her mind, controlling her thoughts. Who sent this? Why? Leah didn't want to believe that her relationship with Gabriel could be tainted. She was doubtful. She didn't want to believe that her relationship with Gabriel could be tainted. She couldn't stop thinking about it. The envelope occupied her thoughts the entire day as she tried to distract herself with housework. Her mind kept returning to the paper, carrying a silent threat to her love. Memories of happy moments shared with Gabriel clashed with the growing anxiety she felt. They had been living something so special. Now it felt like it was coming to an end. Good. Unique. Could she risk ruining it? She was curious and needed to understand the situation. She decided to open the envelope. With shaking hands, she pulled out the contents. She expected a simple note. Instead, as she unfolded the document, her heart sank into despair. The words revealed a contract bearing the name of. She was shocked and surprised. She felt betrayed. She felt heartbroken. She felt like she couldn't trust anyone. She felt like she couldn't do anything right. She felt like she was in over her head. She felt like she was drowning. She felt like she couldn't catch her breath. She felt like she couldn't stop crying. She felt like she couldn't think straight. She felt like she couldn't remember what happened. She felt like she couldn't remember anything. She felt like she was in a dream. She felt like she was in a nightmare. She felt like she was in a coma. She felt like she was dying. She felt like she was dead. She felt like she was losing her mind. She felt like she was losing her soul. She felt like she was losing her body. She felt like she was losing everything. She felt like she was losing herself. She felt like she was losing her life. She felt like she was losing her soul. She felt like she was losing her body. She felt like she was losing everything. She felt like she was losing herself. She felt like she was losing her life. She felt like she was losing her soul. She felt like she was losing her body. She felt like she was losing everything. She felt like she was losing herself. She felt like she was losing her life. She felt like she was losing her soul. She felt like she was losing her body. She felt like she was losing everything. She felt like she was losing herself. She felt like she was losing her life. She felt like she was losing her soul. She felt like she was losing her body. She felt like she was losing everything. She felt like she was losing herself. She felt like she was losing her life. She felt like she was losing her soul. She felt like she was losing her body. She felt like she was losing everything. She felt like she was losing herself. She felt like she was losing her life. She felt like she was losing her soul. She felt like she was losing her body. She felt like she was losing everything. She felt like she was losing herself. She felt like she was losing her life. She felt like she was losing her soul. She felt like she was losing her body. She felt like she was losing everything. She felt like she was losing herself. She felt like she was losing her. She felt overwhelmed by a whirlwind of emotions. How could this be possible? The man she had fallen in love with, who had promised to help her rebuild her life and pursue her dreams, was actually the one responsible for the chains that had kept her down. The sting of betrayal pierced her heart, filling her with pain. She felt a mix of emotions. She couldn't believe it. The man she had fallen in love with, who had promised to help her rebuild her life and pursue her dreams, was actually the one responsible for the chains that had kept her down. She felt a sting of betrayal. Her heart felt unbearable. Time seemed to stand still. Joy disappeared in an instant. She felt an overwhelming urge to confront Gabriel. With determination, she marched to his office. With anger and desperation, she threw the documents onto his desk. "What is this about?" Leah demanded, her voice trembling with emotion. "Let's." She felt a mix of emotions. I own the store. The man she had fallen in love with, who had promised to help her rebuild her life and pursue her dreams, was actually the one responsible for the chains that had kept her down. The sting of betrayal pierced her heart, filling. Play a little game for those who only read the comments. Type pizza in the comments. Only those who make it this far will understand. Now, let's get back to the story. Gabriel, engrossed in his work, looked up and stared at her in silence. He was confused. "What is this?" he asked, not yet grasping the gravity of the situation. "You're the owner of that damn store. I was wrongfully arrested because of you." Leah's voice was loud, a mix of indignation and pain as she relived the humiliation and suffering she had endured. Gabriel tried to respond. The storm of emotions Leah was experiencing was too intense for him to interrupt. "Yes. I own the store." She felt a stream of tears run down her face. She felt a whirlwind of emotions. "How could this be possible?" she asked. "The man I fell in love with, who promised to help me rebuild my life and pursue my dreams, is the one responsible for the chains that have kept me down." "But Leah, listen. I had nothing to do with your arrest." "I'm trying to stay calm," he said. "Everything you did was calculated. Everything we have is a lie." The shock and betrayal were clear in her eyes as she felt utterly betrayed by someone she had placed all her trust in. Leah shouted, tears streaming down her face. Gabriel grew more and more frustrated with every word Leah spoke. He stood up and quickly moved around the desk toward her. Leah stepped back. "No. Please don't ever touch me again. I can't stand you." Her voice was filled with disgust and pain, desperate and heartbroken. Leah decided there was nothing more to say. With one final look, she felt contempt and disillusionment. She left the mansion, convinced that Gabriel was no different from everyone else who had betrayed her before. the sound of the door closing behind her echoed like the collapse of a world. Leah walked the streets. Each step heavy with frustration and pain, every memory of all the happy memories of her time with Gabriel felt like a poison. She felt angry. It was the betrayal that hurt the most. The love she had felt for him was now falling apart, everything she had felt for him, the protection, admiration, affection, was now gone. She felt disillusioned. She wandered aimlessly, lost in her tumultuous thoughts. Tears still streamed down her face. The weight of the envelope was fresh in her mind. The name Gabriel Montenegro rang like a curse. How could he have hidden such a cruel truth? Trust, the very foundation of any relationship, had been shattered. Tears streamed down her face as she felt a whirlwind of emotions. How could this be possible? The man she had fallen in love with, who had promised to help her rebuild her life and pursue her dreams, was actually the one responsible for the chains that had kept her down. The sting of betrayal pierced her heart, filling her with. In an instant, Leah recalled the moments they had shared, the laughter, the dreams, the promises of a better future. She felt foolish for having fallen for his charm. Desperation slowly began to transform into a new kind of determination. She couldn't let Gabriel control her like others had. Not this time. She couldn't. She felt a mix of emotions as she was overcome with sadness. How could this be possible? The man she had fallen in love with, who had promised to help her rebuild her life and pursue her dreams, was actually the one responsible for the chains that had kept her down. The sting of betrayal pierced her heart, filling. Just leave things as they were without knowing the truth behind Gabriel's actions. What would she do? Confront him again? Demand answers? The thought of leaving without an explanation made her hesitate. More than that, the need to uncover the truth about him fueled her resolve. Devastated by Leah's departure, Gabriel realized that neither his money nor power could bring him the happiness he longed for. He became obsessed with winning her back, trying everything he could to please her. Flowers, chocolates, heartfelt messages, nothing seemed enough. His passion burned stronger than ever. Her absence left him lost. Without you, nothing makes sense. Every night, he thought about how he felt alone. Gabriel wanted to ask her for forgiveness. One day, he finally decided to go find her. He got ready for the day, feeling nervous. He didn't want to give up. When he got to her door, his heart was beating fast. He knocked softly. Memories of their happy moments flooded his mind. When Leah opened the door, their eyes met. He felt a lump in his throat. "Please," he said. "I love you more than you could ever imagine. I need you in my life to be a better person." His voice broke with emotion. Tears filled his eyes. "I'm a better person. I'm a better person when I'm with you. I don't want to be the man I was before." Leah looked at him, shocked. He was on his knees in front of her, showing her how he really felt. "How can you expect me to believe you when you keep lying? What if you lie again?" Her voice trembled. She was hurt and didn't trust him. "I'm not lying, Leah," Gabriel responded, his voice rising. He was desperate. "I'm here because I've realized that without you, I'm just empty. I can't live like this." Tears began streaming down his face as he tried to convey the sincerity in his heart. "Are you telling the truth when you say you love me?" Leah asked, moved by the sight of the man she once loved bearing his soul in such a way. The desperation in his eyes touched her in ways she hadn't expected. "Without a doubt. There's nothing in my life more valuable than your love," he declared. his voice thick with emotion. Do you really think I can just forget everything that happened, how much you hurt me? Leah questioned. Her determination wavering, the inner she felt conflicted. I don't expect you to forget. I promise I'll do everything to fix this. I'll take every step necessary to earn your trust again. Gabriel said. She sighed. That's not how it works. The desperation in his eyes touched her in ways she hadn't expected. Without a doubt. There's nothing in my life more valuable than your love. He declared. His voice thick with emotion. Do you really think I can just forget everything that happened and how much you hurt me? Leah questioned. Her determination wavering. I can't rush into this. I need time. Leah replied. Her heart torn between love and hurt. Heartbroken, Gabriel stood up. The weight of the world on his shoulders. He knew he needed to change. His love for Leah demanded action. Not just words. As he walked home, his sadness began to transform into a firm resolve. The desperation in his eyes touched her in ways she hadn't expected. Without a doubt. There's nothing in my life more valuable than your love. He declared. His voice full of emotion. Do you really think I can just forget everything that happened and how much you hurt me? Leah questioned. Her determination wavering. I'm going to become a better person. Not just for Leah. For myself. That night. Gabriel looked in the mirror. With determination in his eyes. He whispered to himself. I'll do it. I'll win you back. Leah. You deserve the best of me. Time passed. On his journey to become a better person, Gabriel became kinder and more compassionate. His actions spoke volumes. Louder than words. He used his wealth to support causes that made a difference. Making generous donations to orphanages and daycare centers. He extended his outreach. Helping public hospitals and struggling families by partnering with institutions that truly impacted children and their families' lives. At first, every action he took was driven by the hope that Leah would notice his change, but as time went on, Gabriel began to feel the personal fulfillment these good deeds brought him. He found himself smiling at the joy in children's eyes and the gratitude on the faces of those he helped. He was discovering a new side of himself. This newfound his eyes showed desperation, which touched her in ways she hadn't expected. Without a doubt. There's nothing in my life more valuable than your love. He declared. His voice full of emotion. Do you really think I can just forget everything that happened and how much you hurt me? Leah questioned. Her determination wavering. The kindness he showed nourished his spirit. Meanwhile, Leah, though distant, heard people talking about Gabriel's transformation. Sometimes, she saw photos of him at charity events with children and smiles. A mix of emotions flooded her, pride in his good deeds. Also hesitation. Her heart was still wounded. The scars ran deep. The desperation in his eyes touched her in ways she hadn't expected. Without a doubt. There's nothing in my life more valuable than your love. He declared. His voice full of emotion. Do you really think I can just forget everything that happened and how much you hurt me? Leah questioned. Her determination wavering. The night before, Leah decided to attend a charity event organized by Gabriel's company. The goal was to raise funds for a Christmas party for the local orphanage. I want to see for myself, she thought as she prepared. Her heart racing with both anticipation and fear. She knew Gabriel would be there. The thought filled her with anxiety. Leah arrived at the event. The atmosphere was filled with joy and hope. She spotted Gabriel across the room, talking with some children. His eyes glowed humbly. His words were sincere. She felt a pang of emotion. A longing to understand what had truly changed. Unnoticed, Leah approached him. Her heart pounding in her chest when Gabriel finally saw her. His face lit up. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. He froze. Stunned and speechless, Leah was there. He couldn't believe it. His heart raced just at the sight of her. Gabriel walked toward her slowly, swallowing the emotion that his eyes showed desperation, which touched her in ways she hadn't expected. Without a doubt, your love is the most valuable thing in my life, he declared, his voice full of emotion. Do you really think I can just forget everything that happened and how much you hurt me? Leah questioned, her determination wavering. The inner. He knelt before her impulsively, tears streaming down his face. Leah. He began, his voice full of emotion. I know I've made mistakes and I have so much to make up for. Once again, I want to ask for your forgiveness. I love you. I am committed to being a better man. Not just for you, but. His eyes showed desperation, which touched her. Nothing in my life is more valuable than your love, he declared. His voice was full of emotion. Do you really think I can forget everything that happened? How much did you hurt me? Leah questioned her determination, which was wavering. For myself and for those who need me, he said. He took a deep breath, searching for the right words. Every mistake I've made has been a valuable lesson. I've truly learned what it means to love someone. I've realized that love isn't just words. Actions. I want to show you. Not just tell you. That I'm changing for you. Leah looked at him. She felt many emotions. She heard how sincere he was. She saw how the man she loved had changed. Gabriel. You've hurt yourself. You've hurt me. It's not easy to forget. I can see the change in you, she replied. Her words heavy yet soft. Do you really believe you can be? A storm of emotions swirled within her. She heard the sincerity in his words. She saw the transformation in the man she loved. Gabriel. You've hurt yourself. You've hurt me. It's not easy to just forget. I can see the change in you, she replied. Her words heavy yet tinged with softness. Do you really believe you can be that man? The man I deserve? She asked. Unsure but hopeful. Yes, Gabriel answered. His voice weighted with determination. I won't give up on us. I'll fight for you and for our love every day. Until you can trust me again. Silence lingered between them as Leah reflected on everything they had been through and the visible changes. She had witnessed the love they once shared still simmered within her. The idea of giving a second chance wasn't just about Gabriel's promises. About rebuilding something beautiful together. After a few moments of reflection, Leah finally spoke, I want to try again. Not for you. For us and what we can still become. Gabriel smiled. A smile full of hope and gratitude. A new beginning lay ahead of them. Tears of happiness streamed down Gabriel's face as he stood and embraced Leah tenderly. Promising never to let love slip through his fingers again, life together brought new challenges and a different dynamic. The reconciliation between Gabriel and Leah's relationship was just the beginning. They had to deal with the results of their past decisions together. Some of Gabriel's former employees were still angry because of the decisions he made in the past. These feelings sometimes came up in conversations and glances. Gabriel understood that he needed to do something about this. Gabriel and Leah were just the beginning. as they faced the consequences of past choices together. Former employees, once hurt by Gabriel's impulsive decisions, still harbored resentment. The shadow of the past often surfaced in conversations and glances. Amid this tension, Gabriel realized he needed to act. Not just to make amends. To heal the pain many still carried. With this in mind, he and Leah joined forces in social initiatives, working to support those affected by his previous actions. "We're in this together," Leah said. "Every small step counts," Gabriel said as they organized a food drive in a local square. The energy of the place buzzed with hope and solidarity. He and Leah joined forces to support those affected by his past actions. "We're in this together, Leah," Gabriel said. "Every small step counts," he added, as they organized a food drive in a local square. He looked at the line of people forming. His heart felt heavy with the stories he knew were hidden behind each face. Leah watched his determination. She felt warmth spread through her heart. "Yes. I want to do this not just to help others. To help us too. It strengthens us," she replied, feeling a growing certainty within herself. Together, they were building not just a new life, a new identity rooted in compassion and solidarity. As the couple dedicated themselves to this new journey, questions began to arise. Conversations shifted. Old friends of Gabriel started to question his true intentions. At a bar table, one friend people started to ask questions. They said, "Do you think he's really changed? Is he just doing this to make Leah happy?" These words spread. Eventually, Leah heard them. She started to feel pressure from outside. Doubts came back into her mind. What if all of this was just a mask? What if Gabriel was? He and Leah decided to make things right. To help those affected by his past actions. "We're in this together," Leah said. "Every small step counts," Gabriel said. They organized a food drive in a local square. One evening, after a long day of volunteer work, Leah decided to open her heart to Gabriel. "We need to talk," she said. "I've got some concerns," Gabriel said. "What's wrong? Are you okay?" Leah hesitated, biting her lip. "I've been thinking about all of this. About us. About how some people doubt you." Gabriel's expression turned serious. "Leahi, understand this might be hard. Believe me when I say I've changed, that I'm not doing this for my image, I'm doing it because I truly want to make a difference. I want you by my side, but what if it's not enough?" Her voice trembled with desperation. "What if they're right? What if deep down you're just doing this to feel better about yourself?" Gabriel felt the weight of her words that he stepped closer, holding her hands. "I can't control what people think, Leah. All I can do is show, day after day, that I'm committed to this change. This isn't just about me. It's about us. About building a future together." She looked into his eyes, searching for the sincerity that had always drawn her to him. "I want to believe you, Gabriel. Sometimes I'm afraid. Afraid of losing everything again." "Then let's face that fear together," he said with determination. "Let's show them that our actions speak louder than words. That we're here not just for ourselves. For the community we're trying to help. Every small victory will be a step in the right direction. It will bring us closer together." Inspired by his words, Leah felt a ray of hope pierce through her heart. "What if others don't accept it?" she asked gently. "I can't guarantee everyone will accept it. I know that if we stay united, We can weather any storm that we're doing the right thing. That's what matters, Gabriel replied. His gaze steady and filled with conviction. The conversation strengthened them, making them realize that, despite external opinions, the love and commitment they shared were more powerful. With this understanding, they devoted themselves even more to community work, determined to leave a positive and lasting impact not only on their lives, on the lives of others as well. After all, true change begins within us and radiates outward. Together, Gabriel and Leah were ready to make that happen. Amid this whirlwind of emotions, an old rivalry between Gabriel and Isabel resurfaced. She was unwilling to let Gabriel and Leah's new life go smoothly. Determined to reclaim her influence over him, Isabel began applying pressure, provoking Gabriel with persuasive words during secret encounters. "You've always been a strong man, Gabriel. Don't let this woman make you forget who you really are," Isabel said, her tone insinuating. Her eyes sparkled with an intensity that stirred memories of Gabriel's old life. "Taking back the city is what you really want, right?" Gabriel didn't say anything for a moment. Memories of a time when he was consumed by power and status. He knew he needed to stand firm. "I'm not the man you think I am anymore. What I want now is to be better. That includes Leah." The tension between them grew. A battle between his past and his future. Isabel smirked disdainfully. "Do you really think that woman will ever understand you? Look at yourself, Gabriel. She's not on your level." Her words hurt Gabriel. For a moment he hesitated. He felt insecure, like he did in the past. But he quickly decided he wouldn't let Isabel manipulate him. "If you can't see the change in me, then you don't know me anymore. Leah is different. I chose her. Stop trying to drag me back to who I was." At the same time, the atmosphere between Gabriel and Leah was about to change. When Leah discovered that Isabel had met with Gabriel, her world came crashing down once again. Her stomach churned at the thought that the shadow of the past issues still affected their relationship. Insecurity began to destroy the trust they had worked so hard to rebuild. "Gabriel, are you still in love with her?" Leah asked, her voice shaking as she tried not to cry. The fear in her words was clear. She felt like all her efforts to believe in their love might fail. "No. Leah. I love you. Isabel is part of my past. I'm determined to leave her there." Gabriel tried to show how sincere his feelings were. He moved closer to her, trying to connect. That had brought them together. Leah's face showed she wasn't sure. "How can I be sure she's on my side? She's just waiting for a chance to turn us against each other. I don't know if I can handle that again." Her voice cracked. She turned away, unable to face the pain she was feeling. "Look at me," Gabriel said, placing his hands on her shoulders. "I've fought too hard to get here. I won't let Isabel make me reconsider our promises. You are the only one who makes me want to be a better man. There's no room for her in my life anymore." Leah looked. At last, he met her eyes. She could see determination in them. "Are you sure there's nothing left between you two?" she asked. "I'm sure I don't want anything but to build a future with you," he replied. His voice was full of emotion. "If I need to, I'll do whatever it takes to prove that to you. The new life we want starts now. I won't let the problems from the past catch up to us." She thought about what he said. Her heart was still heavy. She could see a glimmer of hope in the chaos. "I want to believe you, Gabriel. But you need to show me. Then I'll show you, he said firmly, gripping her hands tightly. Let's face this together. As we always have. We don't have to fight alone. I'm here now and always. The tension still lingered. The sincerity in his words seemed to create room for hope. Together, they would have to move forward, ensuring the past didn't shape their love in the present. This new phase wouldn't be easy. Together, they were determined to fight for what they were building. After days of anguished doubt, Leah decided to take a break. She was trying to be distant from Gabriel. While she was gone, Gabriel felt like he was losing part of himself. He started thinking about the impact of his decisions and the happy years they had shared. I need to prove to her that I'm worthy of her trust again, he told a friend. His tone was heavy with frustration and longing. His friend encouraged him, suggesting that he plan a special surprise for Leah. He wanted to show her that he had really changed and that his love for her was unwavering. Inspired, Gabriel decided to bring one of Leah's he had a dream of owning a small shop that had belonged to her family. This shop was a symbol of her roots and her love for art and creativity. He worked tirelessly in secret to transform an old, unused space next to the mansion into a cozy artisan shop. He designed it with Leah in mind. He carefully chose every detail, from shelves made of reclaimed wood to the delicate fragrance that filled the air. He created a space that would feel like home. It was clearly hers. On the day of the big reveal, Gabriel felt a mix of anxiety and love. When Leah stepped into the shop, her expression changed from confusion to shock. Her face lit up as she took in what he had created. Tears began streaming down her cheeks. "You did all this for me?" she asked, her voice breaking with emotion. "Yes. This is just the beginning. There's a long road ahead. I want to walk it with you. I want you to believe in me." "I believe in us," Gabriel replied. His sincerity was clear. Leah felt hopeful. She could tell that he was being genuine when he created this space. She stepped forward and embraced him tightly, allowing herself to feel the security she had always longed for. "This is incredible, Gabriel. I don't even know what to say," she whispered, feeling grateful as they pulled apart slightly, their eyes meeting in an impulsive gesture. Leah leaned in and kissed him. It was a soft, tender kiss that symbolized a new beginning and a love ready to bloom again. And so, within the warm walls of the new shop, a new chapter of their story began to unfold, where trust and hope became the pillars on which they would build their future. Back at the mansion, as Leah worked on the shop and tried to rebuild her life with Gabriel, she made a devastating discovery. After a long day of tasks, Leah was in her room, surrounded by a temporary sense of peace. She and Gabriel had been working on a project to make the house more inviting for both of them. However, while organizing some old papers in a drawer, she noticed something: a thick envelope with the logo of one of Gabriel's old companies. Curious, Leah picked up she felt at peace. She and Gabriel had been working together on a project to fix up the house and make it a nice place for both of them. While organizing some old papers in a drawer, she saw something. It was a thick envelope with the logo of one of Gabriel's old companies. Curious, Leah picked up the envelope and started to look at it. Inside, she found letters between Gabriel and a local bank. The letters talked about closing a store that had supplied her parents' shop. As she read, her heart began to race. One passage in particular stood out. "Unfortunately, The decision to increase competition in the area was necessary. To boost sales, the closure of Mr. and Mrs. Oliveira's shop was an unintended but unavoidable consequence. A lump formed in her throat, the words echoed in her mind as the reality of what she was reading sank in. Her parents' shop, the place that had sustained her family throughout her childhood, with trembling hands. Leah flipped. Leah looked at the envelope. She was pale. Her heart was beating very fast. She had found some old letters between Gabriel and a local bank. The letters were about a store that had supplied her parents' shop. But the store was closing. Leah read some important words. The store was closing because of competition. Gabriel had tried to open a new market. This would hurt her family's business. How is this possible? Leah said. She looked at each line. She was very angry. She went to Gabriel's office. Gabriel was looking at new project plans. Leah knocked. She was very angry. She opened the envelope and started reading. Inside, she found letters between Gabriel and a local bank. The letters talked about closing a store that had supplied her parents' shop. As she read, her heart began to race. One letter stood out. Unfortunately, the decision to increase competition in the area was necessary. Pain surged through her. Gabriel looked up. Startled. What's wrong? He said. Sitting back down. You look pale, he said. Standing up. This is what you call love, Gabriel yelled. Holding the envelope so he could see it. You destroyed my family, Gabriel said. Frowning in confusion. What are you talking about? He asked. What's in that envelope? Leah stepped closer. Her voice shaking with emotion. This letter. Your choice to compete with my parents' shop. Ruined their business. You did this. Gabriel's face quickly went from confused to guilty and sad. Leah. I didn't realize how serious it was. The economy was pushing out all kinds of businesses. What I did. Leah stepped closer. Her words filled with pain and betrayal. Don't you see? This wasn't just business. This was the foundation of my life. My parents' shop. Now here you are. Trying to rebuild what's left of your life and asking me to believe you've changed. You haven't. Gabriel. She looked inside the envelope and found letters between Gabriel and a local bank. The letters discussed the closure of a store that had once supplied her parents' shop. As she read, her heart began to race. One passage in particular stood out. Unfortunately, the decision to increase competition in the area was necessary. Leah felt Gabriel's guilt as if it were an unbearable burden. I didn't know the consequences would be so devastating. She said. I only looked at the numbers, the sales. You let my family fall apart. Tears streamed down Leah's face as she cried. My father turned to alcohol. My mother. My mother was so desperate that she ended up passing. Gabriel felt guilty. 2. Away. Do you have any idea what that meant for me? The silence between them grew heavy and suffocating. Gabriel couldn't believe what he was hearing. He stepped toward Leah and, on impulse, tried to reach for her, but she recoiled. As if his touch burned her skin. Don't touch me. She snapped, throwing the envelope to the ground as Leah felt her heart race as she read the letter. It was about the closure of a store that had supplied her parents' shop. The letter symbolized all the tragedies her life had endured because of him. You can try to convince me that you've changed. How can I trust you? You're the reason I lost everything. Gabriel stepped back, the weight of despair pressing on his chest. Leah. I can't change the past and I can't erase the pain you're feeling. But I want to do whatever it takes to make things right, that I'll take responsibility for the consequences. Take responsibility. How are you going to bring my family back? You can't, you dragged me into this life of lies, Leah shouted. Her voice echoing through the room, desperation overwhelmed Gabriel. That I can't bring your parents back. Leah opened the envelope and started reading. Inside, she found letters between Gabriel and a local bank. The letters talked about closing a store that had supplied her parents' shop. As she read, her heart began to race. One letter stood out. Unfortunately, the decision to increase competition in the area was necessary. But I can try to make a difference in the lives of the children and young people you care about. Please give me a chance to make amends. I just want to get away from this. Leah breathed, her voice trembling. Stunned, Leah fled into the dark streets of the city. Her vision blurred with tears. She nearly stepped in front of. She opened the envelope and started reading. Inside, she found a letter from Gabriel to a local bank. The letter was about closing a store that had supplied her parents' shop. As she read, her heart began to race. One part of the letter stood out. Unfortunately, the decision to increase competition in the area was necessary. She only wanted to escape the mansion to get away from Gabriel. Everyone had been right. He hadn't changed. He was the same spoiled and selfish man who had caused her imprisonment in the first place. Leah was devastated. She didn't know how to forgive what had happened. Gabriel, however, was determined to win her heart back. He couldn't give up on them or on everything they had built together. Gabriel refused to let anything come between them. He decided to plead for her forgiveness once more. It didn't matter how many times he had to humble himself. He only wanted her by his side. Rain or shine. Every day, he went to the house Leah had rented. He stood at her gate, asking for her forgiveness. Don't you have a company to run? Leah asked, seeing him standing in the pouring rain. Nothing else matters except you. Let my company go bankrupt if I don't have you. Gabriel replied, his eyes filled with tears. Leah looked deeply at him. She still couldn't bring herself to forgive him. Too many bad things had happened in her life because of Gabriel's business decisions. Forgiveness didn't come easily. That I can't do this right now. Gabriel, she said. Retreating into her house and leaving him alone in the rain, Gabriel kept returning to her house every day. She couldn't forgive him. Too many bad things had happened in her life because of Gabriel's business decisions. I can't do this right now, she said. Leaving him alone in the rain. Gabriel kept returning to her house every day. Over time, Leah realized that their love was stronger than the difficulties they faced. One day, she opened the gate and found Gabriel sitting outside looking like a homeless man. Do you promise you'll never hurt me again? She asked. No more secrets from the past, Gabriel said. Still seated, he raised his eyes to her and hoped. His voice. He answered. I promise to dedicate my life to making up for everything I've done to you and your family. The two embraced, and in that hug, they began a process of healing. Deciding to start their lives over once more, they started working together on the shop Gabriel had built for Leah. Do you mind if I make some changes to the shop? I wanted to reflect my essence. 2. Leah suggested. Excited. Of course. The shop is yours. Leah. I'm just here to support you. Gabriel replied with a smile. The shop became a place where the community could come together and be revitalized. Together, They organized events to help local entrepreneurs and celebrate the cities he promised to dedicate his life to, making up for everything he had done to Isabel and her family. The two embraced. In that hug, they began a process of healing and decided to start their lives over once more. They started working together on the shop Gabriel had built for Isabel. "Do you mind if I make some culture?" Isabel still lingered. She wasn't willing to let go of Gabriel. One evening, she confronted Leah and Gabriel at the shop, trying to destabilize Leah. "Do you really think he'll stay with you forever? You're just a phase," Isabel said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Leah stood her ground without hesitation. "Isabel, don't underestimate the strength of our love." After her confrontation with Isabel, Leah felt stronger than ever. The determination that rose in her heart made her realize she wasn't just a supporting character in her own story. She was the main character. By her side, Gabriel saw the transformation her confidence brought. Admiring her for facing the past and challenging the society around them. Together, they became an unbreakable couple, ready to face any challenge. A month later, Gabriel decided to host a celebration to honor the new shop and the life they were building together. He invited friends, family, everyone who had supported this new chapter of their lives. The atmosphere was filled with joy, laughter, warm embraces as guests admired the space that had become a true home for creativity and love. "I'm so proud of everything you've accomplished, Leah," Gabriel said, his eyes full of affection as he replied. "I promise to dedicate my life to making up for everything I've done to you and your family." The two embraced. In that hug, they began a process of healing. Deciding to start their lives over once more, they started working together on the shop Gabriel had built for Leah. "Do you mind if I make some?" He raised a glass to toast the shop's success. "You've brought life back to this place. To me as well. All of this is the result of our unity and your willingness to change." "Gabriel," Leah replied, her eyes sparkling with the happiness he had brought into her life. "You've proven your love is real. More than that, your transformation." He promised to dedicate his life to making up for everything he had done to her and her family. The two embraced. In that hug, they began a process of healing. Deciding to start their lives over once more, they started working together on the shop Gabriel had built for Leah. "Inspires everyone around us." The toast was followed by laughter as the party came alive. The joyful and celebratory atmosphere was suddenly interrupted by an unwelcome presence. Isabel, with a sarcastic smile, decided to make an appearance, intent on dimming the cheerful spirit of the event. "It seems you finally got your little shot, Leah." Isabel began, her tone dripping with provocation. "Tell me, do you really believe this love will last?" Leah's expression hardened. Instead of retreating, she felt a surge of strength. "My love for Gabriel is built on respect and learning. It's not about luck. It's about choice," she declared, locking eyes with Isabel. "I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." Feeling the confidence in Leah's words, Gabriel stepped closer, gently taking her hand. "Isabel, Leah isn't alone in this. The love we've built is about overcoming challenges. We won't let you or anyone question that," he said firmly, his voice revealing the strength he. "Do you mind if I make some?" Isabel took a step back, surprised by the unity between them. "You may think this is love. All I see is a story that will end in disappointment." Her voice now wavered slightly. Leah took a deep breath. standing tall as she faced Isabel. Maybe you see disappointment. I see two people. He promised to dedicate his life to making up for everything he had done to her and her family. The two embraced. In that hug, they began a process of healing. Deciding to start their lives over once more. They started working together on the shop Gabriel had built for Leah. Do you mind if I make some? What truly matters is that Isabel is here. With a final glance at her former rival, Leah turned back to Gabriel. Reconnecting with him as they joined the circle of friends and family surrounding them at the party. Life is about choices. I choose happiness with you. Gabriel. That's more than possible. Leah said with a laugh as the guests gathered around. Showing the strong love network they had built. The past might have problems. The present was full of hope. Their future, made stronger by their unity, seemed very bright. Even though Isabel tried many times to ruin Leah and Gabriel's happiness. Leah said with a smile as the guests gathered around. Showing the strong love they had built. The past might have its problems. The present was full of hope. Their future, made stronger by their unity, seemed better than ever. Despite Isabel's repeated attempts to ruin Leah and Gabriel's happiness, they remained strong in their relationship and in the shop they had built together. That small shop became more than a business, it was a home for the community. The shop showed Leah and Gabriel's love and hard work. Hosting events that brought people together. They organized local art fairs. Showed new artists. Held workshops on self. Leah and Gabriel were very dedicated to each other and their shop. Their shop was more than just a business, it was a place for the community. It showed how much they loved each other and how hard they worked. They organized local art fairs. Showed new artists. Held workshops on self-help and entrepreneurship. Every event made the community stronger and gave hope to people who were having a hard time. Gabriel. It gave him a new purpose. He could make up for the mistakes he had made in the past by helping as many people as he could. One sunny Saturday, Leah and Gabriel were getting ready for a special craft fair. Leah said, I want to make the shop bigger and add a section for organic foods. She was very excited about this idea. It could bring more customers to the shop and help local farmers at the same time. I love the idea. Gabriel said. He helped hang colorful decorations. Smiling. We could host a charity event. Leah suggested. We could raise funds to help those who are still struggling. Her eyes lit up with excitement. Gabriel took her hand. Feeling the special connection they shared. You always think of others. He said. That's one of the many reasons I love you. Let's do it together. Life always has its surprises. A few weeks later, as they were organizing another community event, shocking news broke, a new shopping mall was being planned for the area. Threatening small businesses like, it's theirs. This could ruin our business and everything we've built here. Gabriel said. Worry evident in his voice. We need to act quickly. Let's rally the local merchants and fight this. We have to show that we're a united community and that small businesses matter. Leah said. Determined. Let's play a little game. For those who only read the comments, type milkshake in the comments. Only those who've made it this far will understand. Now, let's continue the story. Together. They called a meeting and created a movement called Support Local. They were convinced that the community's power could make a difference. Even when facing challenges. They started to get support from local merchants and neighbors. They found people willing to fight with them. As the date of the public hearing got closer, the movement gained strength. The community joined together to present a petition. They shared stories about each small business that played a very important role in their lives. They wanted to show that the city needed diversity and authenticity. The night before the hearing, Gabriel and Leah sat in their shop. They reviewed the evidence and mentally prepared. "We must do this for everyone who has ever fought to keep their dreams alive," Leah said, feeling the weight of the moment. "We're on this journey together. No matter what happens. What we've built is already amazing," Gabriel replied, holding her hand with love and strength. On the morning of the court meeting, the auditorium was full of people. Gabriel and Leah spoke for the community, strongly saying how important small businesses are. "We are more than just shops. We are families. Dreams. Stories all mixed together," Leah said. Her voice filled the community. Won the case. Everyone was happy. Gabriel and Leah had worked hard to help their community. Their legacy taught people that even when things seem bad, there is hope. Every generation learned from their story and knew that love and support can change things. The story continued to show that when people come together for a common goal, they can achieve great things and make a positive impact on others. Generations to come. In their hearts, Gabriel and Leah knew their work was not just for themselves. For everyone who would come after them. Their work was to spread the light of love and community to every corner of the world. And that light, once ignited, would never go out. With all their challenges behind them and their trust in each other stronger than ever, Gabriel decided to make a special request. He planned a proposal and chose a special location, under the moonlight by a peaceful lake. On that magical night, he arranged a picnic beneath the stars. "Leah, do you remember? On the day you came into my life, I promised to be a better man. You've made me want to work hard to achieve that. More than anything, you've shown me what true love is," he said, holding a small box in his hands. Leah looked at him, her eyes full of emotion. "Gabriel, I know our lives we've had good and bad times. You've had a big impact on who I am today. With you, I'm a better person. You make the best of me. I like who I am when I'm with you." Gabriel took a deep breath and continued. "Will you marry me and build a future together? Step by step?" He asked, "Will you marry me?" "Yes," Leah replied, her face bright with tears of joy. She threw her arms around Gabriel and kissed him deeply. "This is the man of my dreams," she exclaimed. On the day of the wedding, Gabriel felt his heart race as he watched Leah walk down the aisle. She looked stunning in her wedding dress. A beautiful dress that made her look even more beautiful and showed how much she was loved. They shared the moment their eyes met. Gabriel knew for certain she was the woman of his dreams. His legs felt weak. He was overcome with tears of joy as he realized his dreams were coming true. The ceremony was simple but filled with love. Warm smiles from friends and family surrounded the couple, filling the space with vibrant energy. The scent of flowers mixed with laughter, creating a magical atmosphere that enveloped everyone. As they shared the moment their eyes met, Gabriel knew for certain she was the woman of his dreams. He felt weak in the knees and was overwhelmed with joy as he realized his dreams were coming true. The ceremony was simple but filled with love. Warm smiles from friends and family surrounded the couple, filling the space with vibrant energy. The scent of flowers mixed with laughter, creating a magical atmosphere that enveloped everyone. As they exchanged their eternal vows, Gabriel held Leah's hand firmly. His happiness overflowed. "I promise to stand by your side through every moment in joy and in sorrow until the end of our days," Gabriel said, his voice trembling with emotion. Leah smiled, tears streaming down her cheeks as she held back her own emotions. "I promise to love you unconditionally. Always striving to be the best version of myself with you by my side," she said. Their wedding was a beautiful celebration of their love and commitment to each other. This union represented more than just the joining of two people. It was the start of a new chapter where the past and present came together, promising a bright future. Even after getting married, the world seemed brighter than ever as they began their new life. After the ceremony, Gabriel and Leah started their family, opened their hearts to new experiences, faced challenges. In the midst of their joys, this union represented more than just the joining of two people. It was a symbol of a new beginning, where the past and present came together, promising a bright future. Even after saying, "I do," as they walked towards the start of their new life, the world outside seemed brighter than ever. After the ceremony, Gabriel and Leah started building the family they had always dreamed of. They opened their hearts to new experiences and challenges, facing both joys and hardships together. Leah reminded them, "This journey is ours. Even when things get tough, we can always count on each other," Gabriel said, looking into her eyes with determination. Months later, as they celebrated a new chapter in their lives, the couple eagerly awaited the arrival of their first child. The day of the birth arrived. Their hands were intertwined. Each contraction brought them closer to. They were ready to face anything together. Leah said, "Gabriel, we're ready for anything." "Yes." Together, he replied. Months later, the couple was excited to welcome their first child. On the day of the birth, they held each other's hands. Each contraction brought them closer to their greatest hope. When they heard the baby's first cry, they felt a wave of emotions. Gabriel looked at Leah. Tears of joy were streaming down his face. "We did it, my love. It's a new life. The beginning of everything." The arrival of their baby was a symbol of new life. It was also a symbol of the strengthening of their bond. It was a symbol of the beauty of starting anew. "Look at him, Gabriel. He's perfect," Leah said. Her voice trembled with love and happiness. They found strength in one another. "Leah, this journey is ours. Even when things get tough, we can always count on each other. Gabriel, we're ready for anything." Together. Months later, as they celebrated a new chapter in their lives, the couple eagerly awaited the arrival of their first child. The day of the birth arrived. Their hands were intertwined. Each contraction brought them closer to. "He's ours," Gabriel replied emphatically, holding the little one in his arms for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of parenthood filled him. Together, Gabriel and Leah embraced the challenge of raising their child with gratitude and hope. "We'll do this together. Just like we always do," Leah whispered, gazing lovingly at their son. Gabriel nodded. "Our hearts are full. Yes. Together. We're ready for anything." There, under the tender gaze, they found strength in one another and shared that they had built a home founded on love, resilience, a future filled with endless promises. What do you think? Did Leah make the right choice in forgiving Gabriel? Share your thoughts in the comments. Rate this story from 0 to 10. What's your score? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the bell to stay updated on all our stories. Be sure to check out more emotional stories by clicking here on the end screen.